All right, welcome to today's recap. This is Christian Fromhert, CEO of Tribeca Trade Group, with your end of day recap for Thursday. And I'm sitting here watching Micron. Micron had pretty good numbers that came out for earnings. The expectations, I think, were just probably a little bit too high for this quarter. I think at this point, everybody has seen all these Micron calls going up for the last like month and a half, even before for the last quarter when it originally started. So good numbers for Micron: 162 versus 550. 162 versus 151, and the sales look pretty strong as well. But really, really high expectations. I think people were looking for a home run, considering we even saw today more call buying, August call buying going out in this name. So their call starts at 4:30, which is just about in 1 minute. So we'll see if they say anything delightful, I guess, on their earnings call. Nike also reported, so I'll kind of start with the earnings plays. Looks like Nike's up a little bit. They also had a nice quarter. We'll see what they say on their earnings call. So I would say, all in all, a pretty tricky week, right? Yesterday when I did the video, I was talking about complete full participation and risk on, and today we kind of fall flat on our face. So the main thing, what I've been kind of saying is watch these semis. This has been one of the strongest areas. I was watching today. Right away the volatility kind of come in and say, okay, well maybe we can hold on to yesterday's low. If you remember yesterday we started the day lower and then bounced really nicely. So we returned to there in the SMH ETF, and we held it for about 15 minutes and then took it down. So we hit a low. We finished down about 2.2%. I think the whole semi space was down 3%. So, and they just keep coming after puts. They really do. All first half of the day. Let's see if I can get the data up for you. But yeah, it says the put activity, which I'm surprised. The puts were 38, so about two times normal volume. I would think it would be higher than that. There's 38,000 puts today versus usual ADV of 14,000. So a heightened amount of SMH puts, but really what drew me to it, or was how many sweeps. July, and again, keep in mind the duration of this too. They're not going out to like August, September. They're looking to play this short-term volatility here in the semiconductors. A lot of July stuff. So could be that just people are looking for more volatility in the next couple weeks. When you get into July 4th, sometimes you see that. The main thing that we kind of picked up on, or which has been a theme that I've kind of come upon, which is not anything a huge revelation, but we just the VIX keeps getting down to about 10, and every time it gets to 10 and kind of pokes its head, or below 10 into the 9 handle, volatility seems to shoot right up, right? So it's kind of a danger sign when that volatility gets to be about 9. And I couldn't believe yesterday, again, it got under 10 again. So kind of looking at, I guess we'll look at the this is such a hard chart to look at, honestly. But we got back to 9, and then it shot back up, and then yesterday it took all the way down, and then we got another one of these crazy candles. Where, I mean, this was crazy watching this today. My rule for when the VIX is doing this, the VIX, if you look at the RSI, which I've got zoomed in here, or enlarged, I mean, we got to a 96 RSI on the 5 minute. It was also pretty dramatic on the 1 hour bar in the VIX. So it got to be over an 80, especially on the hourly. Once it gets to be about an 80, any indice, it usually doesn't stay at an 80 for that long, for an index, whether it be VIX or whether it be a major U.S. indice. But so my general rule is, which I'll share with you guys here, is that I generally don't really buy the dip until I see the VIX until I see a sell signal, at least until I start to see this stop ramping up. So I kind of just sat on my hands for till about 1:30 today. Made a couple small adjustments and things, and then I said, okay, once we got a couple of these, now we're talking. Once we got a couple of these red bars starting to work, and we continue to go down. So the VIX ended up 14%, which is percentage moves, which is not the right thing to kind of look at in percentage moves, especially coming from a 9. but it did go from we'll call it 10, a 10 to a 15, which is a 50% increase, right? So and not even, and the thing that we were kind of talking about in the room today was no major event. I guess there was some chatter about plans or sanctions with North Korea that later came out with Mnuchin came on, so there was a couple headlines, but not really enough to kind of take things from a 10 to a 15 in a matter of 2 hours. You would think that the world was going to end, or somebody, or a bank was failing, or something like that. So it seems a little bit over dramatic. I would think we would have basically closed here, at 11:44. That seems normal to me. Not a move up in this, but so crazy move. So going back to what we started in the beginning, I think you have to be a little bit concerned about this breaking down now. We kind of held. It does seem like the more that you go and you touch support, the more you visit it, it seems like the more vulnerable it could get to kind of breaking. So we got another area of support in here, which is the bottom of value, which is going to go away in about 2 days because this is a monthly value area. But we managed to hold this. Next month, this is a developing market value area, but right around 83, I think you have to be aware of. I think tomorrow, which is the last day of the month, you're going to want to see the SMH get inside this value area. If we start, sometimes when we start the month below value, it's not a great sign. Same thing with the Qs. The Qs also found support right at that green line, and we didn't close there. I wouldn't exactly call this a hammer bar, but so I would watch 137.60 for tomorrow, somewhere around there. See if we can close above that. I think that'll be interesting. Keep about all the volume that we've been seeing this last month. So I don't really, when you're a little bit confused about the market, which it's okay to be, you don't always have to have all the answers. You may just want to, when I'm not thinking as confident about something because we're breaking support. We broke the, we did break the 50-day moving average today pretty solidly. You can take a step back, or either take a step back and have more in cash, which I've been advocating, or B, just lengthen out your plays. Be really careful with your short-term option plays. I know some people like to play really short-dated stuff, front-month stuff. You have very little recovery time if the market doesn't do exactly what you want it to. So be careful with short-term option plays, unless you're going to just day trade and take them off. But you get a move like this and you just don't have a lot to do. So those are a couple of thoughts I'll leave you with. Banks were the star today, but they didn't close on that. They didn't close nearly on the highs today. So it was a little bit too euphoric after the close yesterday. I was wondering if things were going to hold. So Bank of America did finish up 1.8%. But we actually saw some two-way flow today. We actually saw some put buyers come in to this right in here. You could see for BAC. The biggest trade of the day, the biggest sweep of the day was puts. So somebody was thinking that it was up a little bit too much, and they bought some 24.5 puts for 18 cents. Probably up here. That was at 9:44 in the morning. So right here. So they probably made a little bit of money on that if they would have sold them at down around the 24 handle. Citigroup was also a star. Citigroup actually had a little bit of volatility too, but still finished up 3% or close to it, right? And a gap up here. So we'll see what this does. These gap ups can be a little tricky, especially with this type of bar. So we'll have to monitor that. I have no position in Citi. What else? A couple other things. The usual suspects kind of got beaten up today. Besides, the Chinese internets, they fell 2%. I've got no position on, except a small. I have a 10% position left in that call spread that I put out a trade idea. So I think I did the right thing with there. You hold the last 10% for a big winner, and I have no problem holding that for a little bit longer as it kind of chops around a bit, as long as it's above the 50-day moving average. So I played this one pretty well. Also, bond. The other thing that's still besides the VIX going up, bonds were down 80 basis points. Gold also down a 0.5%. So, I think if there's, I get why the VIX ramped up, not ramped up to 50, but I get why it made about a 15% move today, 1.5. But we're really not seeing a lot of fear. Bonds usually get bought, and we did see them come off the lows, but certainly they didn't stay. You know, they still finished down what 0.5%. TLT finished down 85 basis points. So didn't see buyers coming like rushing in to buy gold or bonds. So the euro was very strong today. This is a trade I've been long. So the euro looks like it's breaking out at this point. Nice MACD crossover in the euro. So really nice. This was featured in the weekend newsletter. I had talked about, where's the weekend newsletter? There it is. There it is. And I talked about a lot of buying coming into here. And I talked about how it's basically done nothing for a month. So real nice play that we put on here. So the euro, nice. I would almost call this like a pennant and blast off. So that trade's working out really well. What else? There was one other thing I was going to talk about, but I'm forgetting what it was. Oh, option activity today. How could I forget that? Option activity. Some pretty interesting trades, I would say. Eaton, ETN, they came in a couple times for this one. Let's see what the final volume was. They came in 3,700 contracts in this one. This one's, again, a very short-term dated trade, natured trade, just July, which has got just a couple weeks left to it now. But Eaton's been a pretty good name on option activity. It's in an uptrend. It's kind of just barely in an uptrend. Was down 1%. So they actually added to this one throughout the day. I think they initially bought these at 90 cents and then they bought more at 70 cents. So they must like it. CRM, Salesforce, dip buyer in this one. So I don't have the 100-day moving average, but you could actually draw the 100-day moving average right in here. And I think that's the support to watch for Salesforce. Nice big block. Was not swept, but still I think these were bought. I put this trade on today. Salesforce 95 calls went up. So I think with this one you have to watch the 100-day moving average. But I like this business. We just saw Oracle come out with really strong earnings. Very similar business line. Tells me that business is strong. Let's see. I'll leave it with maybe one or two other trades that we saw today. Let me talk about copper for a second too. The other thing was a lot of buying. Probably the big trade. The big trade of the day was NFX, which we participated in today in the room. Nice move in this stuff. This energy stuff, I think it's great for day trades, or maybe if you want to hang on to it overnight for one day for a bounce. But man, this stuff is still in big, nasty downtrends. So you're going to get a big snapback rally from time to time, and it's good to pay attention to option activity. Yesterday we saw a call buyer in, was it MRO, Marathon? We saw one in CLR. We saw one today. So a lot of the really high speculative stuff. So was it WNC? No, it was another name. SWN. I mean, this is really, really high speculative stuff. So get in and, a couple traders play this today in the room as well as for a quick day trade and made some nice money in SWN. Congratulations. But I would be a tourist in this stuff. I would not want to be. I mean, look at this chart. You can't stay in a swing trade in this thing. Sorry. If, any technician, I mean, come on, seriously? Maybe it puts in a bottom here. As long as you're defining your support, I guess you could play with it that way. But man, these are some ugly, ugly charts. So great for playing day trades, but I usually like to stick to the 200-day moving average, and if it pops above there, let's see. CS I think finished above the 200-day moving average. I did not put this trade on today just because I think I was distracted with a bunch of other things. But CS did close above the 200-day moving average. I like this trade, Credit Suisse. And then the last thing I wanted to leave with is copper. Take a look at what copper did today. Up 70 basis points, a little bit off the highs, kind of sold off with everything else right around the morning time. But hey, copper's starting to move here. And this was the downtrend that it was in for a good couple of months, but it poked its head out here, retested this downward trend line, and is now above value. So I did go home with a long position in FCX. Figure that's very sensitive to the price in copper, but I like this. I like what's going on in copper here. So I'll leave it there. Thanks for watching today's video. Have a great night. See you tomorrow morning in the trading room.